Hi, welcome back everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn English with a short story. Stories are great because stories give us vocabulary in context, and context is one of the best ways to improve your English fast. We will read through the short story once. I want you to see how much you can understand simply by listening. You don't need to understand every single word. Then I will give you a short summary of the story. And finally, we will look at the vocabulary with explanations. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kirsty. I'm a British native English speaker, and I have almost 10 years of teaching experience. If you would like to join my YouTube English program, make sure you subscribe below. London scars. London was full of life. The city's size and excitement captivated 30-year-old Marcus Harris, who enjoyed every experience it offered. He had just moved there for a new job as an engineer at a tech company in Canary Wharf. Each day felt like an adventure, and he couldn't believe how much was happening around him. The underground trains were always full of people. The streets were loud with different languages, and the River Thames sparkled under the morning sun. Marcus lived in a small flat in Shoreditch, a neighbourhood full of colourful murals and cool cafes. He loved the smells of fresh coffee and hearing musicians play on the street. It made him feel alive. He was part of something big. But today, he was in a hurry. Marcus looked at his watch. It was 8:57. He was late for work. Holding his briefcase tight, he pushed past a crowd in front of a coffee shop and ran. He was sure he knew the way, but suddenly he realized he had taken a wrong turn. The street he ended up on looked strange. Instead of the shiny modern buildings he was used to, there were old brick buildings with faded signs. The air smelled like smoke and something else he couldn't name. There was a low rumble in the sky, and when Marcus looked up, he froze. A group of old warplanes flew in a V shape above him, dark and threatening. Marcus's heart began to race. He pulled out his phone, but it was dead. The screen didn't show any apps or even the time. He was in trouble. Then, a man wearing old clothes and a dusty cap shouted at him, "Get off the street! There's a raid coming!" Marcus didn't know what was happening, but he knew he had to run. He sprinted down the cobblestone street, his polished shoes slipping on the uneven ground. Suddenly, he heard a loud whistling noise. He threw himself against a wall just as an explosion ripped through a building nearby. Dust and pieces of brick fell all around him. "No," Marcus whispered. This couldn't be real. It was like he had fallen into a nightmare. Marcus got up and ran as fast as he could back to where he had made a wrong turn. He turned another corner, and suddenly everything felt different. The modern buildings were back. He could hear the cars and see people on their phones. He was back in his world. A woman walking by gave him a strange look. "Are you okay?" she asked. Marcus forced a laugh. "Yes, just a crazy morning," he said, but his voice shook. The rest of the day was hard. At work, his co-workers talked about new projects, but Marcus couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. His logical mind kept asking, was it real? Was it possible? As an engineer, he liked solving problems, but this didn't make any sense. That night, he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the warplanes, the explosion, and the old streets. Over the next few days, he tried to act normal, but deep down, he felt pulled back to that strange alley had to know more. A week later, as the sun was setting, Marcus returned to the alley. It looked ordinary now, but he stood at the edge, feeling nervous. Suddenly, a voice made him jump. "Looking for another adventure?" said an old man leaning on a cane. His eyes were sharp and full of knowledge. "I saw you that morning," the man said. "You disappeared. Then you came back. You're not the first person this has happened to." Marcus felt a chill. "What do you mean?" The man smiled. "That alley is a scar in time. It connects to the past, to London during the Blitz, when bombs fell every night. The city has many secrets, and that alley is one of them." Marcus's mind raced. "So it's like time travel?" he asked, his voice shaking. The old man nodded. "Something like that. But be careful. The past isn't safe. If you stay too long, you might never come back." Marcus felt both afraid and curious. His scientific mind wanted to understand, but he also knew the danger. The old man gave him one last warning before walking away. Sometimes, the city decides who it wants to keep and where it wants to keep them. Marcus went home that night, his head bursting with questions. London was full of energy, but now he knew it also held mysteries. He wondered if he should forget about the alley or if he should explore it again, even if it was risky. He realized that in this city, life was never boring, and maybe, just maybe, his adventures had only just begun. Here are 3 questions to see if you have understood the story. How does Marcus go back in time? And the answer is, he takes a wrong turn down an alley. What does Marcus see in the sky? And the answer is, he sees warplanes. And finally, who warns him not to go back? And the answer is an old man. I hope you liked the story. Did you understand the main ideas? Let me summarize the story for you. It's about a young engineer named Marcus who moves to London for a new job. On his way to work, he finds a strange street that takes him back in time to World War II. Marcus is both surprised and shocked by this experience. He feels curious and wants to return to the mysterious street. When Marcus goes back, he meets an old man who warns him. The man tells Marcus that if he travels through time again, he might not be able to return to the present. Marcus is left wondering if he can stop himself from going back, or if his curiosity will lead him into trouble. Now I'm going to go over some words and phrases from the text to make them clearer for you. I won't read the whole story again. Instead, I will highlight a few sentences. These will help you understand and give you new words to use in your own conversation. London was full of life. To be full of life is an expression used to describe someone or something vibrant or energetic. We describe London in the text, but we could also describe a painting, for example. The painting was full of life. You could also use it to describe a person or an animal. She is full of life. It's not to be confused, however, with a full life, which means someone who has or has had a very busy and fulfilling life. So the preposition of really changes the meaning. Marcus lived in a small flat in Shoreditch. Shoreditch is an area in London, and a flat is a British English word for an apartment. a neighborhood full of colorful murals and cool cafes. Murals are paintings on walls and they're often very big. Marcus looked at his watch. It was 8:57. He was late for work. Holding his briefcase tight, I like this description. He's not just holding a briefcase. So a briefcase is a bag that you put work documents in. He's not just holding his briefcase, he's holding it tight. It means to hold something securely or firmly. He pushed past a crowd in front of a coffee shop and ran. To push past is to move in front of someone or something with force. For example, today someone pushed past me in the line at the bank. He was sure he knew the way, but suddenly he realized he had taken a wrong turn. To take a wrong turn is to go in an incorrect direction. The street he ended up on looked strange. To end up somewhere is to come to a place or a situation that is unplanned. Let me give you an example. We forgot to book a hotel, so we ended up staying at my uncle's house. There was a low rumble in the sky. A rumble is a continuous low sound. We say that thunder in a storm rumbles, for example. Marcus's heart began to race. When your heart races, it beats very fast. He pulled out his phone, but it was dead. Obviously, a phone cannot die. But here we use the word dead figuratively. So we say the phones are dead when they have no more battery left. Get off the street. There's a raid coming. So a raid in this context means that bombs are going to be dropped from aircrafts on London. He sprinted down the cobblestone street. To sprint is to run fast, you probably know that. And a cobblestone street is an old-fashioned way of paving a street with rounded stones on the floor. He threw himself against a wall just as an explosion ripped through a building nearby. To rip through something is to move through something powerfully, destroying it. So another example would be the hurricane ripped through the city. A woman walking by gave him a strange look. "Are you okay?" she asked. Here we have the phrasal verb to walk by, meaning to pass something or someone whilst walking. Marcus forced a laugh. "Yeah, just a crazy morning," he said, but his voice shook. Shook is the simple past form of the verb to shake. In this context, it means that Marcus's voice sounds frightened. A week later, as the sun was setting, Marcus returned to the alley. An alley is a narrow passageway between two buildings, like a narrow street. Marcus felt a chill. What do you mean? When we feel a chill, we feel a sensation of cold, often accompanied by a shiver. The man smiled. That alley is a scar in time. It connects to the past, to London during the Blitz, when bombs fell every night. A scar is a mark left on the skin by a wound, so when you hurt yourself. Here, the word scar is used metaphorically or as a symbol of the mark that was left on London during World War II. And the term Blitz refers to a period in which Great Britain was heavily bombed during the war. The old man nodded. So to nod is to move your head in agreement. So to say yes with your head. And finally, he wondered if he should forget about the alley or if he should explore it again, even if it was risky. When something is risky, it means it involves the possibility of something bad or dangerous happening. I hope that was helpful. Now that we've looked at the vocabulary and the expressions, the very best way to improve your English today is to go back to the beginning of this video and listen to the story again from the beginning. If you don't have time to do that today, then make sure you do it tomorrow. Let me know in the comments if this story was difficult or if it was easy for you. If you've enjoyed the video today, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you feel like doing more English with me today, then join me in the next video. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you soon. Bye.